YouTube channel, IT on Demand. So today, let's get started. I noticed that I didn't talk about how to set up VS Code. I talked about how to set up PyCharm. So one of the things I want to do today is to show you how to set up your VS Code. And for that, of course, I believe that by now you should have VS Code installed, because we've installed VS Code already, but we need to still do some to install certain extensions to really make VS Code a full-fledged Python IDE. And so the first thing I will do is, if you're on Windows, you can use the Windows logo button, the Windows logo key on the keyboard. If you press that, you type Python, and that should, type VS Code, and that should launch VS Code for you. But I'm on Mac, so I'll use the command space, and I will type Visual Studio Code here. I'll open it. And once I open VS Code, I get this environment. I already have most of these things installed, but I just want to show you where to go to install those things and certain settings that you would need to make just to get VS Code up and running. So the first thing I would suggest you install is come to extensions here. And let me zoom in a bit. And these extensions here, come here. Once you are here, click that button, the icon there, and come up here and type Python. Once you type Python, you will see a list of different Python, but I want you to take note of this. The one I want you to install is the one from Microsoft. As you can see, this one. You see another one here, Python from Shiro, but just keep an eye on Python Microsoft. So click on that one. And of course, because I already have it installed, the only option I have is uninstall. But if you don't have it installed, if you don't have it installed, you will see an install button here. So click on that install. Once you click on install, it will install it. And I think you might have to reload VS Code. So install, and then you get an option to reload, and just reload that particular page. Another thing that you would have to install is Pylance. And what Pylance does is, as you can see here, it says that it's an extension that works alongside Python in VS Code to provide performant language support under the hood. So what it does is actually it's a type checking tool, and it just gives you that IntelliSense experience. So you would want to install this one as well. Just again, I already have it installed. That's why you see my button says disable and uninstall, but just look for install here. And if it asks you to reload again. Another thing that I would say you should install is, I think AutoPep 8. Yes, this one. And usually when you install Python, it should ask you to install certain extensions together with Python. But if it doesn't, just come here again, type in AutoPep 8 and install AutoPep 8 as well. Another thing that I would say you should install is Code Runner. And what Code Runner does is that, recall that the last time when we were running our application in PyCharm, we typed in Python, and then we typed in the name of the file .py. Of course, the same thing is possible in VS Code. However, there are times that you might just want to use a button rather than just typing Python, whatever. So for that, you can actually use the Code Runner. So the Code Runner just gives you a button like this to run Python. So all you just need is just type your code and just come to this place and just hit the button. And as you can see, the Code Runner it's enabled for different languages: C++, Java, JS, JavaScript, PHP, Python, and so on and so forth. So you might want to install that as well. So I think these are the important ones I would say you should install. Yeah, perhaps one more thing I would say you should install is Prettier. So Prettier is just a code formatter. Just helps you to format your code. And it works as well. As you can see, it wraps your code when necessary. So you can just read all these things up if you want to, but it just makes your code prettier. That's just what it is. All right, so install that again, and if it asks you to reload VS Code, reload it again. I think that is all we need. As we keep moving on in this course, like I said, we might be diving into data analysis and maybe machine learning and some other things like that. But for now, I don't want you to stock up your computer with things that you may not necessarily need for now. So as we keep going on, if I realize that you might need something, I'll just let you know that this is necessary for you to have, or this is something that I suggest you have. So with that being said, a few other settings now that I think I would talk about are things like, for me, I prefer to have my document, my files auto-saved. So when I'm typing, I don't have to press Ctrl S from time to time. So the way I do that is come to File here and just ensure that this is checked, auto-save. And what that does is that when I'm saving this, when I'm typing my document, it just auto-saves the files for me. What else? Let's go over to code. So let me open the previous file that we worked on last. I think we talked about comments in the last video. But before then, I want to show you one more thing you should know about. So if you look at this terminal, remember the last time when we ran PyCharm, when we ran Python on PyCharm, we used this terminal. And so if on VS Code, in VS Code, you can also come to terminal here and just click on new terminal. And that opens this up for you. And this, of course, enables you to do the same thing that we did in PyCharm, where we had to type Python, then I think comments.py. But of course, in this case, we don't have comments.py as a file here in this folder. All right. So another thing that I want to show you quickly here is if you come to code and you go to settings and you go to settings again. Here, when you get to settings, let me minimize this one. When you get to settings, type format on save. Now, what this does is that, you know, we installed Prettier and we installed Prettier. And what it does is that if I save my document, it automatically formats my code for me. So if my code is not in the way or the standard that is given in PEP 8. And by the way, PEP 8 is just a standard for VS, for writing VS code. For writing Python. So click on this format on save. And I think that should do it for all that we need here in VS Code. But like I said, if I remember anything else, I will definitely let you know. But for now, that's all I think we have to do in VS Code to get things running. So just to let you know that now VS Code is running, I would go over to File. I would want to open that folder where I have my file saved. So I think I already have it in recent. So let me just go to recent, open recent. But in your case, go to open folder. When you click on open folder, it should show you the folder that you would then go, just navigate your folder and look for where you stored your files. For me, I have it in recent, so I'll go to open recent and PyDoc, I believe. And there we go. So this was our last program. And what I just want to do here is to show you how to run this application in VS Code. Again, go to terminal, new terminal. And as you can see, I'm here now. I will just do Python comments.py. So you can see the code is running. What item did the customer buy? Shoe. The item is shoe. So I think that was where we stopped last time. So a few things that I would mention is also that you should keep an eye on this part of your VS Code that shows you what version of Python you're using. Because if you click on that, you can actually select from multiple versions of Python. So I would say that you should select the 3.12 that we installed and make sure that you select that before you do all these installations. But of course, it doesn't really matter if that's the only Python interpreter you have installed. So that's all I have for you guys on this one. It's not meant to be a long thing. And like I said, my preference for choosing between PyCharm and VS Code is nothing other than I just want you to know how to use multiple programs, multiple IDEs to work with Python. So don't just get stuck in one and then maybe one day you have to resolve a problem on the other and you're confused as to how to go about that. So see you guys on the next one. Bye.